in Thailand over the last couple of seasons and in further afield as well. And don't forget, of course, the man alongside him, Dominic Setiavan, the man who represented his nation in the FIA Karting Academy Trophy. That is the competition, of course, that gave the world Charles Leclerc. So, pretty impressive stuff. Out onto the circuit, the drivers come. And still more battles to rage. It's going to get exciting. Aaron Garcia and Kai Burke, Toby Gale and Dominic Setiavan. Then Nathan Aria at P5. What a chance for him on the inside of the third row, alongside the reigning champion in senior, Yu Kapo from Hong Kong. 7th on the grid for Pata. Warapong Yamchan to everybody else. Alongside Naralimjit Panya. And then the oldest man in the competition for Senior X30, that is Tsutomu Nishimura, 55 years of age, up against drivers who are more than 30 years his junior. That is astonishing. Alongside him on the grid is Jerry Chi. We'll see what he can do from 10th position on the grid. Xi Jintong, of course, from Hong Kong. 11th on the grid is Danish Chen, alongside the hard-charging female in the field, Panya Yamchan. Great to see her in senior for the first time, and what a performance she's putting in. 13th place on the grid for the 236, that is Kantapat Naren Sukatsanti. So Kantapat Naren Sukatsanti in 13th place, alongside Jamie Ambrose, who should be having a very interesting time of it, hopefully in the second heat. Mind you, I didn't see Ambrose coming through, so I wonder if he's actually not been able to make the start of this one either. Treble 2 is next up, that is Thomas George, the 18-year-old from India, based out of Kottayam in Kerala. And he's going to be lining up alongside Jenny Bibinet. Great to see her back in the field again. And looking a lot faster than usual as well, which is much better for her. 211, Fakin Jananukul in 17th position, alongside Mika Slabbert. And then at the back of the field, it is the Chinese talent, number 263, Xiao Mozwan. So all of the drivers, all 19 of them in this field, hoping for another strong battle out on the course. So we'll see what their headway will be for the Birolats to try and crack that imperishable nut at the front of the field. Aaron Garcia, the Spanish talent, leading the way around for LOR Racing on the Kart Republic. This is going to be tough, very tough for Aaron Garcia. Once those Birolats start bouncing around behind him over these bumps, he could have a very tough mission on his hands. Let's see how it goes. They come off the turn. Very well controlled by Garcia. Are we going to start racing immediately? Yes, we are! Great start from the Spaniard up to the first turn and looking very comfortable to hold on through the first corner. Toby Gale looked like he got a terrific start there. Has he managed to get through in a second position? Well, he and Kai Burke are already going side by side to try and snap at the heels of Aaron Garcia. I can't quite make out from here if that's Gale in second or if that's Burke. But both of them having a great race of it. Setiavan's had a tricky one, and he's already lost a few positions. So certainly the Birolats are hammering on the door of Garcia, who's gone very wide. And that could be a chance. It is the 2-2-3. It's Gale who's in second, then Burke. So Gale has made the jump on his teammate. And as they charge down to the hairpin, this could be Gale on Garcia very early doors. And he needs to attack early because we know the pace that Kart Republic has. Setiavan has lost 3 places, down to 7th position then already as the leaders are breaking clear. Gale wants to take on Garcia nice and early. He's going to go for a late lunge and he has to bail out of it. Adia is doing a grand job, by the way, in P4. The Indonesian is P4. What a start to his senior journey. 5th place for Yamchan, then Yu Kapo, then Setiavan, Imjipanya, Chen and Nishimura. Good starts all the way through the field then, particularly from Danish Chen. Good to see him in the top 10 nice and early. Garcia taking a really wide trajectory through that part of the hairpin, but the kart is well balanced and stable, and he corrects it to get back into position behind, but he's spending a long time looking behind him on this early part of the lap. He knows that those Birolats are going to be a big threat throughout. So Gale and Burke are definitely putting the Spaniard under pressure. Garcia leads the way. Gale second, Burke third. Then it is Aria. 5th place for Yamchan. Yu, Setiavan, Imjapanya. Side by side, they both got him! They both got past Garcia! Fantastic work as both Birolats find the gap to get past the Spaniard. And now they can assist each other. Wow, this is dramatic stuff. And it's Kai Burke who's in the lead. So I wonder if Gale's move on Garcia just kicked them out wide, and that was enough for Kai Burke to sweep in and take the lead. So hopefully we'll get a replay of that, because there was a little bit of a headache on the way through on that first corner. So maybe we'll get to see what happened again. But certainly for Toby Gale, the move on Aaron Garcia was meant to be a little bit easier than that. But instead, he's ended up falling behind his teammate. So Toby Gale was going for the lead. He's got ahead of Garcia, but he's still not made it to the lead, because Kai Burke got past them both. And so as they work their way on to the next lap, Nathan Arya running P4 in front of Yam Chan in P5. Then Yu, Satyavon, Injapanya, Chen, Nishimura, George, G. And then in 13th place, that is one of the new talents in the field. That's the 236, Kantapat Narin Suksanti. Hairpin turn. Aaron Garcia not giving up yet at all. Third position behind this pair of Birolats. And after taking one win, he knows it's going to be difficult to hold on to it this time. But certainly, both Burke and Gale are putting up quite the fight. So with the Birolats 1 and 2, under the careful tutelage of Michael Patrizzi, motorsport aficionado, of course, from Australia, former supercars racer back in the day, and certainly the godfather of red and white in Asia. Certainly looking good for Kai Burke and Toby Gale, but here's a retaliation from Garcia. He goes deep into the turn, but he's run wide on the exit. Toby Gale's going to get back on the inside. Garcia's trying to go long, and they're still side by side all the way through the hairpin. He's made it stick. Aaron Garcia really stretching Toby Gale there on the limit through the hairpin. It was so difficult to hold on to. Both men were millimeters from each other's wheel bearings, and that was fantastic wheel-to-wheel stuff. Garcia getting through, Gale held up, and Kai Burke is giving leave to disappear. So the two men that won the earlier two heats are now first and second. But it's Kai Burke who's got the dominant streak here. It took Garcia a little bit too long to get the move there on Toby Gale. And so Kai Burke is leading. Garcia second. Gale is third. And then in fourth place, it is Nathan Arya from Wadapong Yamshan, Dominic Setyavon, and Yuka Po. So Kai Burke leads the way. Very good work indeed from the Australian, who's doing a grand job out front. And in second place, the Spaniard, Aaron Garcia. Lovely work from him at the moment, having fought his way back past Toby Gale. Nathan Arya, what a debut in Senior X30 the Indonesian is having on the Kart Republic. He's now trying to take on Toby Gale. They were forced to step up to Senior X30 after an uncompetitive season opener in Junior. And Nathan Arya, they decided, right, well, we may as well give it a try in Senior. We might see what happens. He had a growth spurt over the last couple of weeks, which meant he was going to be completely uncompetitive in Junior. So he stepped up to Senior, and here he is in P4. What a great debut from Nathan Arya in the Senior category. And this is great progress too from Putter, Wadapong Yamchan, P5 at the moment for the top one squad. That's definitely looking likely to be his best result in the Infinity IAME Series Asia in Senior X30. Dominic Setyavon, he'll be disappointed with this. Sixth position, he could easily have gone for the top three here, but he just got squeezed wide at the first couple of corners at the snail shell. And fourth position has turned into P6, but the kart is still going strong. Yuka Po is under danger here of being caught and passed by Nadalimjit Panya. So Nadalimjit Panya is really rising to the occasion. Good to see. Ninth place, Sutamo Nishimura. Great work from the 55-year-old. How on earth is he still this competitive against drivers 25 years his senior? 35 years, I should say. His junior, in fact, is what I was meant to say. 10th position for Danish Chen. Then Thomas George, Jedi Chi. And then we've got Kantabat Narin Suksanti in 13th place in front of Mika Slabber, who's gone it done again, working his way through the pack. Great work from the Malaysian. 15th, that is the very talented new Thai driver in the field, Pakin Jananukul. So Jananukul has got Jenny Bibinet behind. Then it is Panya. So Papichaya Yamchan making her senior debut, having spent the last half year or so in the Junior X30 category. Then Xiao Zhuan and Jamie Ambrose not starting again. So out through the hairpin. Good display from Kai Burke. But now that Garcia has been released, he is catching Kai Burke hand over fist. The problem is, I don't think he's going to have the time to really take him on for the victory. That gap that Kai Burke built up has been very strong indeed, and I just don't see that elevating back in his favour again. So the gap is 0.8 of a second, almost a second, and Kai Burke seems to have the measure when he's got clear track in front of him. As they come across, yeah, if anything, Burke is pulling away from Garcia, not allowing the Spaniard to catch him. So it looks to me as though this is going to be a very favourable run. And so at the moment, Kai Burke definitely has the measure of the Spaniard in the lead. Third position, Toby Gale. Fourth place, Nathan Arya. And then in fifth place, we've got Wadapong Yamchan in front of Dominic Setiavon. Everybody else is keeping it neat and tidy. This is the thing, you can't afford to push too hard. When we've got more drivers in Senior X30 than usual, that means that because we've got two groups, we have to separate them into 3 heats, not 2. So they're working the tyres even harder than they normally would be in a field of 36. Most of the races we've done, the drivers have had 2 qualifying heats. Well, this time, now that we've got 38 drivers in the field, we've got 3. And that means they're working their tyres so much harder. So they've got to look after them more, particularly at this stage of the weekend, when there's still a third heat to come later this afternoon. But they can't afford to exert themselves too hard. They've got to be measured. Patience is a virtue. If you want to get to the final, you've got to make sure you look after these tyres. So for Kai Burke, he is working hard because Aaron Garcia is now starting to step up the attack. The gap has come down to 0.7 of a second. If Garcia can get within 0.4, that's going to be enough on the main straight. Then the straight between turn 1 and the snail shell, just in the toe alone, because he knows he's got good top-end pace, but he's got to get close enough to really take advantage of the toe. So he's got to find another 0.3 of a second. As they come across the line this time, the gap is 0.7 again. So Burke has responded, 2 laps to go. I think Garcia's just going to run out of time, but it sets things up neatly for Heat 3. So still, Garcia proves that there's life in the Kart Republic yet. Still plenty to do this weekend. Do not think for a moment that Kai Burke winning 2 races means he's got this on a silver plate. Anything but. He knows for a fact that he's going to be really stretched to the limits this week. He's going to have a lot of hard work ahead of him. Third place for Gale. He is in no man's land, Toby Gale, because the guys behind him have dropped back and they're starting to cause issues for each other. But he can't quite match the pace of Garcia. Either that or he's just choosing not to. Third place is still a very strong position to be in. So he can take his time. He doesn't have to rush this. Still got plenty of time to make up the numbers. Yuka Po is now running through in P7 behind Arya, Yamchan and Setiavon. So it turns out then that with an Explorer or a Kart Republic, he's struggling because everybody's caught up on pace. But Kai Burke is on the final lap. The gap is down to 0.5 of a second between Burke and Garcia. 2 more laps. And maybe Garcia might have got close enough to challenge the Australian. But certainly it looks to me as though Aaron Garcia is not quite going to get close enough to the man from Bundaberg in Queensland. He comes through on the back straight and having done a very favourable job indeed. Kai Burke has not broken a sweat out of the final turn. Check it is in the air. It's 2 out of 2 for Kai Burke. Aaron Garcia second and third for Toby Gale. A great effort from Nathan Arya in his second ever Senior X30 race. Top 5, very strong indeed. And there's even more where that came from. Expect more over the course of the weekend. So Garcia's taken a win and now Kai Burke has taken 2. We're going to get a new winner in the next heat, whatever happens. So it's definitely going to be an exciting one, as Andrea Galimberti is going to go head-to-head with Dylan Tan on the front row of the starting grid for the next heat. But certainly, the leader at the interim after 2 competitive heats is going to be Kai Burke. He will take effectively a 0 score. It's like golf. It's reverse points. You get 0 for a win, 2 for second, 3 for third, 4 for fourth, and so on.